They want to move your camera a bit. Hey everybody, welcome to another installment of Paranormal Q&A with Jack, Kenna, and
Carly,
another special guest,
Gino, who every time we manage to hit the live button without fail, he's always like, no.
He doesn't want to be on TV. Okay.
2 seconds ago, he was purring and purring and purring.
Yeah, well, he's changed his mind now. He doesn't want to be on.
He's camera shy.
Yep, I guess. How you doing, Michelle Mellons? I see you're out there. So, hope everybody had a good Christmas or good holidays. Hope Santa was good to you. There's Nick. What's up there, Michelle? How's it going, Nick? Hope Santa was good to you. Everybody had a good one. We at least had a white Christmas in the end here. I'm sure a lot of everybody else did too. Many others, not everybody. There's Ruth. How's it going out there, Ruth? So, there's Bobby Carter. Bobby. Nothing really planned for today. Carly, what's been going on with you? What did you get for Christmas?
A lot.
A lot.
Pretty much the whole gaming setup back there.
Well, that was before Christmas. So, hi, Barry.
Well,
I see Barry.
Technically, my Christmas present.
It was.
I got a cute narwhal mug, which is in the dishwasher right now. But
your friend gave that to you at work, right?
No, Shelly did.
Oh, Shelly. Oh, my sister did. That's right. Sorry, my mistake.
Ha. And I got a shirt that says "I do whatever I want" with a cat that's like pushing something off a shelf.
Coffee mug
off a shelf. Yep.
Nick says he got a brand new HD night vision infrared camera, so I know I've been good. There you go.
Nice.
I got cookies.
And I got a gigantic Hershey Kiss.
Gigantic Hershey Kiss. Yep. But there was something else too. Oh yes, you got a bag of smart food. Popcorn.
Smart food popcorn.
Smart food popcorn, which you already ate.
In a day. I think I ate it that night.
Yeah.
I ate it that night.
Yeah, I think you did, yeah. Well, not I gave it. I gave it to you after Christmas because I kept forgetting I had it in the corner, hiding it.
Oh, Nick, you have no idea. You should look at my car.
Yeah, yeah.
I have narwhal seat
car
covers
seats. Yeah.
And a narwhal steering wheel cover. Yeah, me and my narwhals.
And Barry's asking Nick if he's had a chance to try out his camera yet. Oh, and I see Ghosty is out there. He says, nice posters.
Hi, Ghosty. That's one
of your friends
Twitch
there?
Yep, he's my moderator on Twitch.
Oh, you're my. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you like the posters. Yeah, I got a lot of different posters in the background. I got some science fiction stuff, some paranormal stuff, and all kinds of stuff back there. That's my thing, man. It's my gig. I've set this half of the room up for myself with all my stuff.
Yeah, they don't get to see that half.
No, well,
they only see my half.
Well, your people, yeah. Favorite genre is definitely, I don't know. I mean, I like horror and I like science fiction. I like them both, especially the combined ones like Alien. That was really a sci-fi horror movie. I loved that. It's one of my favorites, of course.
And the game.
Huh? And the game. Yep. And how you doing, Ann, out there? And Nick says he has tried his camera. Very cool.
You can broadcast on YouTube and Facebook Live with it.
Yeah, I can with the ones I have too. I
didn't know that.
I never paid attention to that, but yes, I can. I actually tried it out once, and it works. I can actually even set them up and view it on my like a security camera. I can watch it on my phone, so I can use it like a security cam. Set it up in some place, set it there, and monitor it. It's very cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I think so. So anyways, we're here to answer your questions about anything paranormal. So Ghosty, I don't think you've had the chance to ask ask me any questions. I've heard you've asked Carly. Somebody's asked Carly some questions on her Twitch there, her streaming. So, but if you guys got any questions, ask us. Anything you want to know, maybe about Father Christmas, something like that. I don't know. He wasn't actually a ghost or anything like that, but he's somewhat paranormal. The Santa Claus, not the actual guy who was, Saint Nicholas.
Well,
have you ever seen an object float by a ghost?
Ooh.
I think what he's talking about is levitation. Have you ever seen anything levitate? Because you wouldn't know if it's a ghost doing it or not, to be honest. You really.
Sometimes we can cause it.
Yeah, Carly has caused things like that. To move, anyway. Not necessarily float, but to move. That's kind of like what you're talking about there is kind of like poltergeist activity. Stuff that can be lifted up, moved, things move around. Nick, no, I have not been good. So that's why I only got cookies for Christmas. That's what I got. I think they were not chocolate chip. I think they were coal.
Oh, they were delicious, and you know it.
Chocolate chip. Yeah. Carly made them for me.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob Maloney. Bob's out there.
But to answer the question, yeah. I mean,
I never actually saw anything move on its own.
Well, you've had something thrown at you.
Yes, that's different. I mean, well, I guess that's something moving on its own, I guess. Yeah, but I've had something thrown at me.
Yeah, but not really float. I mean, we've seen things moved, but not really float.
I don't know what have I seen move. I don't think I've ever seen. I've seen shadow figures.
You saw the ball over at
Oh, that's true. Yes, that's not really floating, but yeah, over at the
right. We've seen things move, but not really float.
Yeah, but that ball moving when they asked it to was pretty cool. It was sitting on a table, and it's just plastic, rubber ball and kid's ball, and he'd ask it. Steve would say, "Hey, move the ball." Ask the spirits to move the ball, and they would actually move it on the table, and there was nothing there. I mean, we were a bunch of us in that room, and I was sitting pretty close to it. I could see it very easy. Nobody's really touching it. Nobody's moving it. Nobody's breathing on it. There was no breeze coming through the room. It would just move when they asked.
It was awesome.
It was pretty cool.
The best part about it was they were like, the spirits over. Oh, we should probably talk about where we were. It was over at the with Pam and Steve over at the oh gosh, the name is totally escaping my brain right now.
They're
Pam and Steve.
Yeah. The Lookout House.
Lookout House. Yes. I'm like, not the Tower Watch House. Something with watching.
Lookout House. Yeah, it's down in Pennsylvania. Yep. Yes, they're not far from Gettysburg.
Steve was talking about how the spirits over on back in the telegraph building can move this better than you guys, and they said that they can move it better than you guys, and then the ball started really moving.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
As if to say no, we can, which was really cool.
Exactly, that pretty was. And Nick, he says, "Oh boy, Jack, not good.
Not good is bad, literally."
Well,
literally.
I'm never that good. That's why I never pronounce people's last names right. So that's why I'm bad. I can't pronounce people's last names correctly.
Do you remember when we had Ted and Cindy on with the literally and the pudding? That's what he's referring to. Literally.
Oh yes. Literally. Yeah. Literally. That's what he's referring to. And I knew somebody was going to bring this up. Now, I used to seeing Carly on the left side of the. You're right. You're correct. And that was because I made an error tonight and I shut myself off and I had to come back in before we went on. So I said, I'm going to leave it this way and see who notices. Good job, Nick. You noticed. Let me see. This is from Ruth. Ruth says, my neighbor has ghosts in her house and the woman of the house manifested in the sage smoke. She just drew the smoke towards her. It was pretty cool. Well,
That's really cool.
sage works to cleanse energy. Realistically, that's what it's doing. It's not really so much driving out spirits as cleansing energy. So if you have something that's a positive energy, not really negative, it's not really gonna affect it. So I guess the spirit could manifest within it. It's not bothering it. So it's not negative type of energy in that case. So it's not going to run away from it either. So that's pretty cool, though, that it actually was able to manifest within the smoke. That's cool.
Didn't ghost hunters try to do something with like a fog machine?
Oh,
like
yes,
that?
and it can work. Yeah, the fog machine can actually work. Yes, because
So
you
it's
can
kind
see
of
the
the same
movement of the
idea.
mist. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
see the movement of the mist when there shouldn't be any movement. Like if somebody was walking through it, like if somebody walks through it, supposedly if a spirit does that, you'll get the same type of movement. You'll see something making the mist move. All right, not like just the wind blowing it. You'll actually see something moving through it. So yes, it can work. It can actually be pretty cool. I think they did have some success with that too. And Ghost asks, how many times a week do you have encounters with spirits? It's not usually a weekly thing. Sometimes I don't even notice. Carly used to see them all the time. Of
I
course, those were
think,
two demonic
well,
things.
I think that the fact that we haven't really had any client cases this year has really like dwindled with how much spirit activity I've had personally, because a good majority of the stuff that I experience is client related.
That's true. That's true. Or sometimes when we go to the different events that we do, we make contact there. I guess if you had to say, if it was a normal year, forget COVID, where we don't travel much or do anything. If it was a normal year, if you had to say, on an average, I wouldn't put it weekly. I would say maybe monthly, maybe twice a month.
Yeah.
On the average, if you broke it out for the year. Because there's times when we're working cases or we're doing other things and we're running into a lot of spirits, and there's other times, we're not necessarily seeing them, but we're seemingly making contact with them. So that can happen a lot during events or when we're doing investigations. The rest of the time, it's normal. So I would say on an average, twice a month.
Oh, you know what? I'm redacting my statement because I do have experiences at work.
Yes, you do.
Family members.
True.
I just ignore them. Just family members popping in, saying hi, wondering what's going on. That's it, really.
Nick's asked us about Christmas pudding. I didn't have any Christmas pudding.
No Christmas. You had Christmas cookies.
I had Christmas cookies. I didn't have any Christmas pudding. I don't think I've ever had Christmas pudding, as a matter of fact. I know what he's talking about. Yeah, well, Christmas pudding was what they used to do in England, right? In the old country. They had Christmas pudding, I guess, was a thing. I never had it. I think some other countries did it too, but I never did it. And Michelle asks if we're going to do any more Haunted Case Files shows. We have heard nothing about that show, Michelle. So I think I think they did 2 seasons. I think they're done with it, and I think they're moving on to something else. Well, some people have been doing some stuff. I haven't really been doing much of. I mean, what's the last thing I filmed, Carly, for my Paranormal Nightmare? I think it's the last thing I filmed for.
Yeah, which was a nightmare.
Yeah. No, not that one. That was my worst nightmare.
Oh, that was, never mind.
Yeah, that was a
nightmares seem to be the theme that
Paranormal Nightmare was the one we filmed at your old apartment.
Yes, okay. That was
cool. And then here at my house, which is pretty cool.
The cool thing about that was that we both had the same audio guy for my episode and your episode. So when he walked in, he was like, "Wow, nice new place." I'm like, "Thanks."
Yeah, it was. It literally was a brand new place.
Because he was at my other apartment too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's right. Same guy was at the other apartment when you filmed your Paranormal Survivor.
Yep.
Very cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So we may have something in the works for maybe hopefully 2021. We'll see what happens there. But right now, no plans for any shows. We did get contacted by a couple for some things, so maybe possibly something there. Just a couple shows talking about different things. Carly, one was interested in your story again, and the other one was interested in like haunted items. That's what it was, haunted items. So we may be doing something, but haunted case files, I think, is finished. Bobby Carter has a question. Here you go. Bobby Carter, do you believe someone can be more sensitive as an adult if they played with a spirit board as a child and did not know how to close it properly? My mom got us one, and it was too creepy after playing with it a couple times. She sold it at a yard sale. Well, I feel bad for those people who bought it. Can you be more? I don't think it has to do with being more sensitive because you
No.
used one. You're being sensitive comes from just what your own abilities are, what you're born with, so to speak. Go ahead, Carla. You go ahead and answer that one.
It can play with genetics as well. Like if your parents are more sensitive, you're more than likely to have a child that is more sensitive. I like to think of it as a muscle, and I like to compare it to long distance running and short distance running, or just running in general.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are better at long distance running than others, and it's the same thing with psychic abilities and like your psychic muscle. Some people are more in tune with their abilities and have a stronger psychic muscle than others. And, the other side, they have to work at it a little bit harder to, strengthen that psychic muscle. But practice makes perfect, and, everyone starts at different levels. It all has to play into like genetics and, pretty much what you're born with at that point, like Jack said. But using a spirit board as a child does not play into what I was taught, does not play into the strength of your abilities unless you had a negative attachment to that, which it's then feeding its abilities to you. Therefore, you don't have those abilities. They're not yours. They're its.
Right,
But that plays into a whole different spectrum of things.
Yeah. Now, if you're saying could you end up with an attachment because you used the spirit board as a kid, yeah, that was possible. That's possible that, you use something attached to you back then. But we don't know. There's no way of knowing for sure. I mean,
Right.
Unless you've had, ever since then, you think you've had bad luck, which can be just bad luck, things like that. But,
yeah.
There's ways to tell, but, it's not cut and dry. But yeah, some people do end up with an attachment or, something that hangs out with them, and you may not always know it's there. So it's not always necessarily bad either. It's just around.
And the cutoff to find out, like, if your child does have psychic abilities or a stronger psychic muscle, the cutoff is typically 8 to 10 years old when the abilities start to kind of like dwindle, and that has to do with like the filter that forms due to cultural, spiritual, personal experiences, especially if your parents are like, ghosts are not real, which is a good majority of parents do. But typically that's the time that you'll begin to realize like whether or not your psychic muscle is stronger.
Ghost has a question. Do you prefer people say ghosts or spirit? Well, everybody has their own preference for that. You can use it. You can use any one of them. I often say spirits or a spirit. We're actually, what we're really talking about is a soul. We're talking about typical spirits, human spirits, human ghosts. But we're really talking about somebody's soul. Most of what we encounter, that's what they are. Somebody who passed. They were a person. Always remember that they were a person. So treat them as such when you do run into one.
So one thing that is very interesting, because I think this kind of plays into it a little bit, is that you growing up as a Catholic, you always said Holy Spirit, right?
Yeah.
We always said Holy Ghost. So, and I prefer to say like ghost other than spirit. It just comes more naturally to me. I think that actually comes into play a little bit with how like growing up are some different religious values and faith kind of play into it and how you worship.
Yeah.
Which is just an interesting tie. It's the same thing, but like what you personally
ghost, spirit, it's all the same stuff, really.
Right.
In that reference, you're still talking about a human soul. The spirit or the ghost, Holy Ghost,
Right.
is not really it's not a human soul. That's God you're
Right.
talking about there. That's a whole different
Well,
thing.
right, exactly. But I'm saying, like, in terms of that side of things, like talking about the other side and
Yeah.
referencing like the afterlife and people's souls and, spirit or ghosts, what they feel comfortable referring to has to do with what they grew up with or what they practiced
Hmm.
with their faith. Just maybe a little bit, I don't know, just a little observation between us two that I've noticed.
Yeah. No, I agree. I just got to throw this up there because this goes back to talking about that Ouija board. It's this old and active board. This practice makes perfect. In regards to that, back then, people thought of the Ouija boards and stuff as just kids' games, right? They didn't think of it as actually being, a way to talk to real spirits. I mean, most people never thought that. When my parents bought us kids one, they just thought it was a game. And most people thought of it that way. It's just, more recently, and the more the last, I'd say, 20, 30 years, people really started thinking about, oh, this thing really can bring something else through. So, in, I guess, defense of her mother just selling it, she didn't think nothing of it. She thought it was a toy, sold it,
Mm-hmm.
got rid of it, whatever. She probably wasn't thinking anything about that at the time. Figgy pudding, mint pudding. Oh my God, they're talking about Nick and Michelle, or my sister, are talking about puddings. Figgy pudding, mint pudding. Oh my God.
I wonder if Cindy had any pudding on Christmas.
Pudding,
Because she
pudding,
talks about
pudding.
eating pudding all the time when she was on.
What was that?
That was one of the references.
Oh,
Eating pudding. Cindy loves to eat pudding.
And Teresa says she always tells people she has a gift or a curse. was born with. Yeah, it could be both. It can be both. Yeah, it just depends. Here's Ruth says, if you had a chance, would you go back to Mount Ida Cemetery? Actually, we did go back. When did we go back, Carly? What
we
was
did
it?
that event, right?
Yeah, we did that event a couple years ago now. I think it was 2 years ago. Was the last time we went. I think it was in 2018. I think the last time that Steve. Oh, actually, no. The last time you went, I wasn't there because I was.
But
away.
we went to the event together afterwards.
Oh, true. Yeah, we went to the event
Yep.
together. But yeah, you went there. Yeah, to check some things out with Steve and Stacy at the time. Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. Yeah, I'd go back there. I think that's pretty cool place. I think that church is and the cemetery are very haunted locations, both of them. Right,
That was the first cemetery I ever investigated.
That's right too, right?
Mm-hmm. It was really cool.
That was the second one I investigated. I usually don't investigate cemeteries. I kind of try to avoid them. I just, I don't know. Not that I don't like them or anything like that. I just, I don't see the purpose personally, unless there was a reason. The first time I did it actually was in regards to a case. And so we had it connected to a case out in Springfield, Massachusetts. It's actually in the book there, Forgotten Souls of Bay Path. So it talks about that and why we investigated that cemetery. And that was the only reason I investigated. Barry's talking about I just read a Facebook post today about someone seeing manifestation of. I'm going to put this up. Manifestation of possible Gettysburg soldier. It was described as seeing a spirit with only half their body from head to waist only. Jack and Carly, please offer your thoughts on why this is so. Why this is so that some spirits only manifest about half of the body. Well, I don't think it's that. I think it's like what you're seeing. Like it depends on. Things change over time, right? Locations change, the fields change, woods change. So the reason you may have only saw half of them, or that person may have only seen half of it, is maybe at the time he was, behind something, in his lifetime. Maybe that spirit was actually moving through a grass field, so all you could see was the upper part of him, or maybe it was moving from behind rocks or behind a because they have the oh my god, the fences there.
Yeah.
So the big wood fences. So he could have been behind something. So that's the only reason. That's the reason why you only see the upper half. And Carly actually saw a whole soldier standing by a cannon.
Yep. I thought he was a reenactor.
Yeah. She was pointing them out to me, and I'm going, Carly, there's nobody there.
Well, there was. You just couldn't see them.
I couldn't see them. They faded away on you.
Yep.
Or was there one minute and gone the next.
Does that have to play into like how some ghosts appear to like go through walls, but it could be a doorway during their time?
Huh? Repeat that?
Like if you see a spirit walk through a wall,
yeah,
or if it's residual, you saw them. There could have been a doorway there back then.
There may not have been a wall there at the time. Yes, same type of thing. Or the floor. Sometimes people see a ghost that looks like it's walking through, like halfway through the floor, and the fact is the floor could have been lower at one time. They have found that out. Like the floor was a foot lower than it was now. It was redone. The building was redone or something like that. So so what you're seeing is something that's more residual, and they're in their time frame when the place was different. That's what I'm kind of getting at. Maybe that's why they only saw half of it. So Ghost has this question. He says, just for me, what was the scariest paranormal experience you've had? Let me see. Meeting Carly, I can't say was paranormal. Wow. That was scary.
Oh, I was terrified. Terrifying. Yeah, hangry.
It was around lunchtime when I met
Things were flying off the walls, and like the whole house was shaking just because I was hungry.
No, I'm thinking of Ocean State. It was around lunchtime, and you were hangry.
Hey, I offered to buy you lunch too that day.
You did. You did offer to buy me lunch that day, but I already eaten, so
that wouldn't have been hangry.
True. Yeah, that's true. Maybe. Well, you were going to get yourself something at the time, I think. But no, actually, scariest thing I ever experienced. You know what it was? I know what it was, and it had nothing to do with a case or anything like that. I was out in San Diego, California, with some friends of mine, and we were on they wanted to try to do a sizzle reel for a TV show, so I went out and said I'd help them film it and put it together. Anyways, we went on the Star of India, and they were trying to call on the spirit of this girl who had been murdered, and we actually felt the murderer came through, and we heard this walking above our heads. It's like stomping, like pacing, heavy pacing back and forth on the deck above us. And when we went up there, it was so loud and so, like almost intimidating. That was actually, we were all three of us were all the only ones on the ship. We were afraid to go out there. We had to go out to see if anybody got on the ship. I actually thought somebody got on the ship. We go out there and go up, and there's nobody there. And actually, what I did is we went because it was outside. It was the main deck outside, and I used she had to go up a set of stairs to get to that part of the deck. So before we walked up there, I used my infrared camera, my video camera, and I was looking with the camera to see if anybody was up there, making sure there wasn't a person up there. And that actually scared me. That was scary. That actually, and I think it was more because you thought somebody got on the ship.
Yeah, you didn't know if it was like somebody else.
Yeah, and this went on. That walking went on for almost an hour. It was crazy. I mean, even after we came back down and stuff, and I checked up there and looked around and couldn't find anything causing what sounded like those heavy footsteps. We go back down, it started up again. Very strange, very weird. This is the only time I actually wanted to get off the ship. It was. I mean, it wasn't constant for an hour, but it went on and off for an hour. But for a while, for about 15 minutes, it was constant at the beginning. So yeah, very strange, very strange. I did want to get off that ship. Fortunately, you're locked on it, so you can't get off. And Regina asked, do you think demons were humans at one time? No, demons were not demons in the way that we think in the Catholic Church anyway. They were never human. they were always something else. That they were fallen angels created by God. They were all angels at one time. The demons that we talk about. Now, a human who passes away can be so negative or been so kind of evil in life that they may seem like a demon in death, but they're still just a human spirit, like a serial killer or something like that. I mean, these people are insane. So if you run into something like that, it may seem demonic, but it's really not. But no, demons, true demons, were never human. They never walked the earth as human. They were never physical.
No.
Right? So they never had a body. They're pure spiritual. Is what we're talking about there. Much more powerful than us.
Oh yeah, and smarter.
And Shelly is saying, yeah, our grandparents are buried at Mount Ida. I couldn't find them there, Shelly. I actually looked. I think they're not buried at Mount Ida. I think they're buried the next one up from Mount Ida.
I do remember you were looking.
I did look, and I looked through the records, and I did not find any Kennas buried in that cemetery. So there is another cemetery just up from it that's next to Mount Ida, and I think that's the one they're actually buried in. But yeah, they weren't. I actually even looked through, because there's not a ton of graves there. I even looked through some of the more recent graves there. Nobody's buried, I guess, buried there anymore. But and I couldn't find them there either. So in the newer section, so I don't think that's the one they're in. But I forget the one that's next to Mount Ida. There is another one right next door to it. I think that's the one they're buried in. I'm just looking through all our questions here. We're getting a lot of good questions tonight. I like this. This is good. And Jay asks a question: have you ever been touched by a spirit? I have. You could say it's a spirit, but I have felt. I guess it was a spirit, because we were investigating on the USS Salem, actually, and it was talking to what was supposedly a sailor who had been on the ship, passed away on the ship, and I felt something touch me on my shoulder. This was before I knew you, Carly. I was with Spirits in New England. We were on investigating there, and I felt somebody touch me on the shoulder, and I thought it was my other investigator, Sharon, who was with me at the time, because I was kind of backing up, and I look, and she's off to my right, and we were the only two down in this area, and there's nobody right behind me, and it felt like a hand on my shoulder, literally a hand on my shoulder. So yes, I have had that happen. What about you, Carl?
Well, my favorite one happened at the USS Salem when we were down in the
that's right,
with the bunker area with Chris Sanders.
Yeah, there's the sleeping quarters. Actually, that's the same location that happened to me in.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very active. It's a very active part of the ship down there.
And I think I got tugged, and I looked at you because you were next to me, and I go, "What?
That's
what?"
right.
And he was like, "What?" You were like, "What?" And I'm like,
Right.
"You tugged me." He goes, "No." And then someone was behind us, and they were like, "No one tugged you, Carly. No one touched you." And then we asked on this, like, to the spirit box, because we had that running. We were like, "Did you tug Carly?" Like, he's like, "Maybe."
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, it actually said maybe. It was
It
kind of
was
funny.
cute. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing. Nobody that's gonna harm anybody. It's just he
No.
likes to prank people. That particular
Chris had some
spirit.
good activity on the
He did.
cots there.
Yeah, when he was laying on the one cot, it seemed to be that individual's cot. So.
Mhm. Oh, and a great picture came up from that trip, remember? Was it Chris that took the picture with the hand?
Oh, yes, with the hand waving in front of me. Yeah, which was kind of weird. Yes, that was Chris that took that photo. Yes. Yeah, very interesting photo, because nobody was there. Nobody was, like,
We were
between
all
us
looking at
and
the
Chris
camera.
taking the picture. And you see this hand in the photo. And it's moving, like it's almost like a waving or something, but it's see-through at the same time. So it's very interesting. Here's a good question. Carly and Jack, do you ever get overwhelmed by seeing spirits or feeling of dread when you go into hospitals, since there's so many deaths and sickness? No, I don't. I mean, I don't go into too many hospitals.
I used to work in a hospital.
Yeah, I mean, I've investigated the old closed down hospitals. I never have been overwhelmed by any of that, or by seeing anything there. I mean, it just doesn't bother me that way. Now, what about you? Well, Carly, you got overwhelmed by other things because you actually were working in a hospital and a
Yeah. I
trauma
think
center,
actually,
basically.
honestly, I think the there is a lot of death and sickness in a hospital, but I think that the energy this is just based off of personal experiences that I've had because you could feel it occasionally, but it wasn't very overwhelming. I think the feeling and the intention and their energy of all the healthcare workers with their like focus and their hopes and like they pray, you know, for their patients. Like they want the best for their patients, you know. I think that energy that they put out overpowers what dread and sickness and death that you can feel there, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
And there's also like angels there as well because they're there helping the people pass on, you know, and there's just I think so much activity going on that it really one specific thing can't overwhelm you unless a specific activity is happening. Like that would happen to me when I was in the OR and a patient was coding.
Right.
You could feel it and you could just tell, you know, just off of the
Right.
feeling of the energy in the room. But that was really the only time. But it's very active. I could
Yeah.
not tell you how many times I've run down the hallways chasing after patients that I thought have wandered in the halls with their regular clothes on because, you know, the hospital, it can be a maze. It gets
Yeah.
very confusing.
Yeah. My
And
sister could
so,
tell you about stuff like
yeah.
that too. Shelley could tell you.
And I'd turn a corner, no one was there. Or I'd see a doctor
Mhm.
walk into a room and go to ask them a question about it, like the case that they'd want, and they, nope, not there. Nope, disappeared. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Or the abortion room that I was working in. That was the most active room I'd ever been in.
Mhm.
Yep.
And Ghost asked the question: do you think demons or angels walk among us as regular humans? It's a kind of a yes and no answer to that question. Demons cannot show themselves as actual humans. They can't create themselves to look that way. They just don't have that ability. Neither do angels, really. But I do think
I
in
think they can come,
cases, well, yes, they can come through people who are
but
influenced by them.
they can come close. They try.
They can come
It's not
close. I
perfect.
mean, no, they can come close, but I don't think they typically just wander. Demons will actually just try to attach to an individual to try to ruin their lives for them. So you can have somebody. That's why I could think you can have somebody who's influenced by either one of those things, right? You can have somebody run into somebody who's influenced more by the angelic, and somebody who's influenced more by the demonic, or potentially even possessed by it. Right? Angels will not possess you, right?
Mm-mm.
Because they're not supposed to. But they can influence somebody, so that you may run into somebody that seems very helpful, very kind, very whatever, or is just suddenly there when you needed them and then they're gone, kind of thing. That doesn't mean they just suddenly disappeared, but that is somebody I think who was influenced by something angelic. And then you have somebody who's influenced by something more demonic. So that's my personal insight on that. That doesn't mean they don't appear to us one way or another.
Right. I think angels, it's very situational because I think you have to have as little contact with humans as possible in order to like let them do their own thing. But like if it
Mhm.
comes to a point where something is interfering, like on the darker side, then I think
Yeah.
then yes, they will appear to kind of just intervene. And even if you can't see them, they're still there. But you know, when you see them, I think that they're there to guide you back to where you're supposed to go without, you know, having something else intervene. I had a weird experience with one though, I will say, where I did see one and it came up. I think I told Ed, I don't think I told you about it when I was at the beach and I got lost. And
Oh,
this
I
guy,
remember. I mean, he's listening tonight. He's out there with us. Our buddy
this
Ed is out there.
I was running down the beach and I had lost track of our umbrella with our beach towel, and I just kept running like an idiot. And this guy, my parents were like trying to come after me because I was like way down there and I couldn't hear them. And this guy just appeared out of nowhere and he was like, "Your parents are back there, Carly." And like I turned around and like they were way down there. Like you could barely see them.
Mm.
And he waited with me until they came, and then he just like walked away and disappeared.
True.
So
Interesting. That
very
is very
interesting
interesting.
experiences.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You never know. You never know how they're going to appear to you or how they're going to come through. You know, I know people who've had somebody seemingly, there when they really needed somebody to be there, and then they look around for them, they're gone. So, they have their influence and they disappear. Now that's possible too, that they disappear, that maybe only you can see it too. I don't know. That's another thing. Can everybody see them, or is it just that person who is supposed to see them, right?
they also have those videos with those people that pop. Like one in particular was this lady that was in the middle of an intersection and she was crossing a crosswalk and a car was coming through really fast and wasn't paying attention and almost hit her. And you could literally see on the camera someone pop in, move her, and then pop out. And it looked like it was a street camera. It could be faked, but the feeling you got from it was like, that was really odd.
Mm-hmm. And Regina says, interesting. She thought she had a demon when she was 24, but after the explanation, I think it was just yeah. Most people mistake something that's just like a negative spirit with something demonic. I think, and that's because of the way Hollywood, TV, everything plays everything up. Everything that seems negative is a demon. Everything's a demon. It's a demon. Yeah. Those are not necessarily demons. Demons are very specific about what their agenda is, and they are relentless, right? Because they have all the time in the world. Human spirits can annoy you. They can throw things at you. They can scratch you, whatever. But it doesn't mean they're demonic, right? It means they're negative, and they may not be negative for the reason you think either. They may be desperate for your attention too. They may not really be trying to harm you, but they're desperate to get your attention because you happen to be one person that can see them or interact with them, and they're desperate for that because they may really be looking for help of some kind or whatever. So you got to be careful, and not everything is always negative. Or they may be trying to get a message across to you and they're frustrated because they can't. So it's things to keep in mind. Here's Marianne. I'm just going to put this up. He works in a hospital. My office is right around the bend from the cadaver lab. That's great. I've experienced spirits asking me to help them. There's no bad feelings, just confusion. And that's where I was just talking about, spirits can seem to be negative sometimes because, again, they're desperate and confused and they're trying to get somebody's attention. And they reach out to those that they can sense, can see them or hear them or interact with them. So it doesn't always mean they're negative.
Exactly.
And Jason, ever have a spirit touch you? Had an icy touch to it? No, I have not. I think that's a Hollywood thing.
The room does get cold.
Spots can generate. It's like pulling energy out of the air.
I think that's more scientific.
Yes. It's not really. You can get cold spots. You can get hot spots even. It's.
I like the hot spots better than the cold spots.
Yeah, it's interesting. They can actually raise temperature sometimes too. Here's a question. What are witches, as in where they may be mediums and simply misunderstood? Well, there's different things out there, Ira. There are witches, actual witches. That's people who practice that particular religion. of witchcraft. There's Wicca. There's all these different things. So those are actual people that practice that. Many of them can be psychic. Not all are, but many can be. We do think, many actually in the old days were misinterpreted because they were actually used different things for healing that were not of the norm, right? They knew a lot about the earth and different things that they could heal people with, and those were seen sometimes as witches in the negative sense by like the Spanish Inquisition and those inquisitors that went after witches and stuff. But yes, those people were not so much misunderstood, as it also had a lot to do with the patriarchy of the church and stuff like that, trying to put women down and not allow them to be leaders. And it is a whole bunch of social stuff that went on with that back then. But witchcraft is something that actually is a religion, and it's still practiced today. And we know some witches, actually. Some witches are friends of ours. So I don't know if I hope that answers your question a little bit. But yes, you're right in a sense. They were misinterpreted as something else, as being evil.
And look into the Salem witch trials and what actually caused the Salem witch trials, because it was a cause that I never ever thought would ever be the case, which really opened your eyes on, people and how humans can be,
Yeah.
in order for attention.
Yeah.
But,
all about wanting to be the center of attention and get their way, and
which was later disclosed in a letter on that person's deathbed with a confession. Yep.
Correct. Michelle, no, I never, as a child, I don't remember seeing spirits. I had a couple experiences, but I never saw spirits on a regular basis, at least not that I'm aware of. Because there was a long time, because of something that happened that's on my paranormal nightmare, that I got out of the paranormal altogether. I pushed it all aside. I blocked everything and left it behind. I didn't want to even deal with it. So, because that was probably the scariest experience I ever had, and that was with something that was truly demonic in nature. So I got out of it. So I never really. I would hear my name called, and still do to this day, and that's just my grandmother, my mother's mother. They would call my name every so often, and I still hear that. It always sounded like my mother when I was a kid. And I'd go looking for my mother and ask her, "What did you want?" And she goes, "I'm not calling you. What are you talking about?" And she'd be like either outside or down the basement doing laundry or something. This sounded like it was just in the room next to me or the next room over. So very interesting, but I never really saw a lot of spirit. No, I guess I could sense when they were around. And Barry just says, it's very fortunate that demon encounters are very rare. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trust me, they are very nasty. Yes, they can completely ruin people's lives, and that is their point: to ruin somebody's life, take your soul, or they're truly nasty. They don't just cause you a little trouble. These things are out to get you.
They're literally the worst things that could ever exist. Honestly, they are everything opposite of good.
Yep, true. Hey, everybody, Sam's here tonight.
Hey, Sam.
Mr. Sam, and he writes. I'm gonna put this up because Sam doesn't come. Well, they have their own show just before ours. Sam and Keith, which you guys should check that out. It's 7 to 8 Tuesday nights, and check out their show sometime. Go to Sam Beltrus's page and check that out.
Sam, I like your profile picture.
It was pretty.
It looks cool.
When I was Spider Gates filming, a man came out of the woods speaking with an old school accent, saying, "Hey, did you drop your keys? If we would have lost the car keys, it would have been a nightmare." Yeah, interesting. And then it goes on to say, the man walked back into the woods after we found the keys and disappeared. There you go. So, angel,
Could be.
or just a helpful spirit. Interesting, Sam.
Did you drop the keys?
Did
Is that what happened?
Yeah, somebody lost the keys. He helped them find them. They found him, and then the guy disappeared.
That reminds me of our Hinsdale house experience with the kid that came out of the
It
woods.
came out. Well, that was an actual person.
That
What
wasn't
happened after was
paranormal,
very
but that was
interesting.
funny. But very interesting.
Dan
Dan with the hot dog.
this hot dog. What are you trying to say, Dan? You're hungry? You're eating hot dogs. I don't know.
Hot dogs are
Hot
good.
dog. Hot dog. Oh my god, we got a lot of questions today. We're getting falling behind here because we're trying to answer them all. Some people talking amongst each other, which is good. That's what we always like, that you guys actually start talking amongst each other and giving each other answers. That's always a positive thing on this show. That's what we hope for. You guys interact with each other. And Barry writes, I think all or most witches practice a pagan religion. Anyone here, please comment. Well, some practice paganism. There is paganist rituals involved, but with regards to like witches, there's more to it than just that. There's more to it.
There's more like manifestation and
yes,
spellcraft. Either like black, white, gray witches. It depends on what types of spells you do. Different types of rituals like protection or summoning or manifestation type stuff. Ideology. There's also chaos magic as well.
Yes. Yep. And Regina, let's hope we see angels in 2021. We could sure use something better.
Yep.
And Sam says, was it, in regards to his thing, was it a ghost, an angel? What do you think it was, Sam? I'm curious what you think that was that you ran into, that gentleman. Was it just a guy wandering around? Why would he walk in and out of the woods, though, right?
How would he know you dropped your keys?
How would he know you dropped your keys? Yeah.
Deborah,
so what's just in your own take on that, Sam? What do you think you encountered with that? That's interesting. You did it while filming. While filming. So if you were filming a show about a ghost show or whatever, very well could be a ghost showed up to try to help you out, or an angel. Here's some Michelle. If you dream of dead loved ones, are they really in your dreams to visit you? That depends, Michelle. I always say if the dreams seem very vivid, like real, like you actually really think you're with that person, that's more of a visitation. If it's just like a dream, like any other dream, then you're just dreaming about that individual, maybe because you were thinking about them or something like that. But spirit can come through in our dreams because our minds are more open during that time frame. We don't have the blocks we put on during the day of all the different things going on around us. So yeah, if it seems really real, like very vivid, that's probably a visitation. What do you think, Carl?
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, the way that I discern between my because I do have PTSD due to my past experiences where I will dream of my relatives and, past deceased loved ones. The way I discern between visitations and those is that the visitations I can actually walk in as if I was actually there. It's not chaotic and I don't teleport from one place to the other.
Right.
And it feels as like I can actually walk from point A to point B and I can't teleport. That's how I know. So that actually took a lot of time in order to realize that while I was dreaming, because that it's the same thing as looking at a watch when you're awake constantly, and when you're dreaming you'll look at your watch, you'll train your mind to look at a watch and notice there's no hands or stuff like that. It's the same concept.
Okay.
I used to wear a string on my finger.
Okay.
And my guide told me to do that because I started having those dreams all the time. So I didn't know which ones were the things. So I wore a string on my finger and I would look at it all day, or a ring. Right. And then if I didn't wear it in my dream, then I knew that I was dreaming.
Interesting.
And then I'd be able to discern if I could walk or not.
Right. Yeah. It's a good way to be able to tell. So Sam says he does not think it was a person or a living person. So he obviously believe it was a spirit or maybe an angel that came out and helped with the keys. Very interesting. We never know what we're going to run into.
Exactly. I just want to pop
Phantom
back
voices are another interesting topic. A voice telling you to drop what you're doing and run. Seen that. Was forest firefighting at the time, and okay,
Oh,
very
wow.
interesting. All right, what were you saying, Carly? You wanted to what?
Well, first of all, with this, thank you for your service, by the way. It's very
Yes,
much
absolutely.
appreciated. And that takes a lot, and you risk your life doing that, then thank you very much. I wanted to pop back up to Deborah. I think we skipped over one.
That's possible. I'm trying to catch them all.
Yeah.
Oops, why didn't that show? Here it is. To remove negative energy without making it worse. Is that the one you were talking about?
Yes.
Go ahead, Carly. I'll let you take that one.
So there's different ways to remove negative energy, and a lot of it has to do with intent and your faith that you practice. As long as it's a positive faith, it won't make it any worse. But people have different types of things that they can do. One is saging, which is the most common, which will move the energy around. You have to make sure that you do it properly. Open your windows, do it in, I think, a counterclockwise, or there's a different orientation with how you have to do it depending on your home. I'd have to give you more information about that if you're interested. But you can also use a white light technique, which is in the Michelle Bellinger's book that she goes through, because I believe she does that. You put a white light on your hand and you scrub your walls, and you just keep scrubbing and like imagining the gunk, the black gunk dissipating into the air and just transforming it into positive energy. And you just keep doing that throughout the whole house. Other people use the singing bowls, the Tibetan singing bowls. Other people use chimes. There's tons of different things that you can use, and most preferably I would have somebody else do it for you, because it's different when you're affected by the negative energy, because it's more personable and they can actually affect you as you're doing it, since you are the one affected. So that's why it's important to have somebody else come in and do it. And yeah, pretty much. It just depends on your
they do always
preference.
suggest, like when you're doing that to remove energy, open the windows in the house.
Yes.
When the
So it has
doors.
some place to go, because if
So you're
not, it'll
pushing it out
moving it
instead of
around.
just moving it around. It's like just sweeping your house. Just keep sweeping. You're just moving the dust around instead of putting it in a dustpan and cleaning it up.
It's
Getting rid
like
of it. Give it some
spring
place to
cleaning.
go. Open up the windows. Open up the doors, and let that energy go out.
Yep.
And you're also bringing in clean energy too.
Yes, it's like spring cleaning. You know how people
Yes,
open the
basically,
windows and the
yes.
doors for spring cleaning? It's like you
Exactly.
letting all the nice energy in. And sunlight helps too as well. Opening all your windows and letting the sunlight in.
And Michelle, you're very, very welcome. We try to answer everybody's questions on here. We try to get to them all. Sometimes we miss some, and we do apologize for that. But we do try to get to all your guys' questions. And if you do have something else that you didn't ask here, or that you'd like to ask us and didn't want to ask it on here, you can message us privately, me or Carly, and reach us that way. We'll try to get to your question.
Yes. And if Amber's still watching, I did get your message, by the way, so I'll let you know.
Well, there you go. There's one for both of us. Do you have a dream location you would love to investigate if you already had? I don't know. I mean, there's lots of places I'd like to investigate. I mean, I don't know if there's a dream one. Yeah, the next world, the next life. I'd like to investigate that. Yeah, at some point. I'm not in a rush, though. Not in a rush. Yeah.
I hope not.
I don't know if I really have it. Yeah, I don't know if I really have a dream location. I'd like to investigate a castle sometime. I don't care what castle, any castle, doesn't matter, as long as it's a castle. Over in sees. Like, maybe we'll get out there with our friend Rick McCollum sometime over to Scotland and be able to investigate there. That'd be pretty cool. It'd be a nice location too. I'd like to get to Scotland. I think it'd be pretty neat to visit there. What about you, Carly? You got a place you'd like to go?
Scotland and Ireland. I want to learn more about elementals over there because I'm very curious about their thoughts on elementals and what types they have over there and stuff.
But what about like a dream location to investigate? Do you have one?
Oh, I don't know. Probably Scotland or Ireland. That's my dream location. Just in that vicinity.
You're just stealing my thought. That's all.
No, always. That's always been my place that I always wanted to go to.
Okay, so
Antarctica. We'll say Antarctica. Yeah. I want to investigate with the penguins.
There you go. There's places down in Antarctica to actually investigate that are haunted. So some of the old buildings and stuff. So Deborah says she has saged at home and prayed in her prayer language, but she thinks it's still there. Again, I would say, did you have the windows open in your home to let that energy out when you did sage? Because if you didn't, you're just moving that energy around. You really have to kind of do that, and actually you work in a clockwise direction when you're saging to move everything in a specific direction. And again, leave the windows open. If you didn't try that with the windows open, try it again. And see what happens. And you can still use prayer, but usually if you have somebody else who's more versed in doing it, I mean, maybe you really know how, I don't know. But sometimes it's better off to have somebody else do it anyway, who's a third party, who's not a vested interest, who can really just focus on that and focus on moving out whatever's there. And sometimes that helps. Sometimes that ends up with better results. Since, like Carly said, you are the one who's affected, so sometimes it's very hard to get rid of something you're affected by because it's attached to you in a way. Right. So you want to bring the other person in who it's not attached to. That can also cleanse you as well as your location. So that's something to think about.
Yep. It's like conflict of interest. We have that in the medical field as well. Like people who, know of a friend or something, they're not allowed to work on in surgery because of the conflict of interest. They're too personally involved. So the same thing kind of plays into this because, it's more of a target, honestly.
Right.
So.
Good night, Bobby Carter. Yes, we're at the end of our show, Carly. Already. Oh, wow. That hour goes by fast. But I want to thank you all again for coming out to the show. If we didn't get to your question tonight, we will try to get to it in the after part of later on. We do try to follow up with some of this stuff after. And Barry, enjoy your pudding. Nick, whatever. Enjoy your pudding. Hopefully you guys worked out that whole pudding thing. I see you guys are going back and forth with that. And something about pickles. Just throw that out there. That's Nick. Nick's talking about puddings and pickles. So, but anyway, everybody have a good New Year. We will see you again next Tuesday after the New Year. So we want to wish you all a very happy New Year. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your night. And if you do go out, just be careful out there. No drinking and driving, please. We want you all back and safe in one piece. So if you drink, stay home. Or stay wherever you're at, and party it up and have a good time.
Be safe. Don't pull Christmas in a cup.
Yeah, we need to, don't pull
Don't end up in a bathtub.
Yeah, like Carly did. But no, seriously, we hope you all have a good New Year's Eve. We hope you all had a good Christmas. And let's bring in 2021 on a positive note. We sure can end this one. I've had enough. We all had enough of 2020. So, can I do it? Right. And Jay, thank you. He says, awesome Q&A, guys. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
We will see you next year.
Yeah, we'll see you all next year. And if you're looking for any of my books, you can find them all on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. Just put in my name, Jack Kenna, to do a search on there and you'll find me. But yeah, everybody have a good one. Thanks for coming. We'll see you next Tuesday, right into the new year. So have a good night, everybody. Love you all. Be safe out there.
Bye.
Bye-bye.